Hello and welcome back to the pool. I'm the Gov Major and this is WoWs Weekly. WoWs Weekly is a weekly news video regarding World of Warships Legends, covering news regarding the game in the week past and the week coming up, along with speculations and channel admin. Well, I guess it's going to be a light week because we are in the fourth week of the patch. So usually this is the lightest week, I guess you could say. However, there is some obviously things to expect and some things going on. First of all, obviously we have entered Arena Season 3. So this is very much exactly the same as Arena Season 2, or except in this case, it's Tier 3 destroyers, cruisers, and battleships. It's running from May the 3rd until May the 10th, and it's based on the amount of XP earned rather than the number of kills. Therefore, your achievements and such will be based on your actual total contribution to the game mode rather than what your maybe luck might provide you, I guess you might be able to say. Also, nothing much more going on this week. Next week we can obviously expect the patch notes. While we don't have the patch notes and I'm not restricted by an NDA, I can obviously do some speculations. What we got? Well, we know that they will probably be doing something in regards to Operation Rheinbug, which is the operation in which Bismarck operated on in attempts to break out into the North Atlantic and conduct converse raiding. Obviously, that would then include the Battle of the Denmark Strait and obviously the final battle of the Bismarck, where basically sink the Bismarck really. Now, it's potentially alluded to that we could be seeing some things in regard to this. Camouflages, potentially, badges, patches, symbols, flags. It could be anything and nothing. It's so some ways to put it. Obviously, we don't know. I think most of us are hoping that we can have Bismarck permanent camouflage with the yellow top turrets, whether we could see battle damaged camouflages and other things like that. I do look forward to seeing how that goes, and I'm contemplating whether to do something in regards to the channel regarding Operation Rheinbug, but I'm gonna play it by ear and see what time I have, because I do have a couple of ideas rocking around the old noggin. I guess other speculations. Well, German carriers aren't expected until summer time. If there is going to be another carrier tech tree, then that will probably, if it even does make it this year, that'll be later this year. We do have it alluded to that we can expect a new battleship tech tree come. Potentially that would be Italian battleships, but I would feel that introducing Italian battleships next patch might be a little early. I'd expect them a bit later in the year. Also, we have it alluded to that pan-European, well, ever since they made the Polish premium destroyers pan-European, it could be potentially alluded to that we could expect a pan-European destroyers as a tech tree coming to the game. We know that recently pan-European destroyers have been released to World of Warships Blitz, the mobile app version of World of Warships. So I think that they are the highest contender for being introduced the soonest. I think if I had to jot it down, I would say first of all, I'd say pan-European destroyers, then German carriers, then Italian battleships, and then maybe Royal Navy carriers, but there's still plenty of alternative tech trees and things like that to pick from, so you never know. But that's just me speculating. None of this is really confirmed, apart from we know vaguely some things here and there. Now, regarding some news that I managed to dig up from the development blog, I think it's interesting because obviously it kind of answers two hot topics that we kind of have in regards to World of Warships Legends. And I think obviously it's not coming from Legends, it's coming from the PC version of the game, but from the PC version of the game you can then see why it's not being introduced or things like that to the console version of the game. The first item of that is obviously submarines. it's basically confirming that they're still doing a lot of testing regarding submarines. I mean, when they first announced submarines for World of Warships PC, that was summer 2019, and they're still testing them, and they're still making a lot of changes. And therefore, I think that really demonstrates how much effort they're having to go through on the PC, and therefore they're not going to just slapdash it and chuck it into Legends. And so I think even if they do want to introduce them to Legends, at the moment there's no plans, but even if they do want to make it into Legends, I expect them to come out on PC properly and be fully tested for at least a year first. And considering we haven't even got to that stage, I wouldn't say submarines are coming for a good 2 years, would be my finger in the air guesstimate. Another thing from the development blog is them still making changes to the way aircraft work. And one of those big changes that they're introducing at the moment is potentially adding changes to the way attack aircraft or rocket attack aircraft work. And therefore, being they're still messing around with attack aircraft on PC, I can then understand why the Legends development team are reluctant to introduce them as yet. I mean, if they're still tweaking them over on PC, again, that means they're not really quite ready to be fully released onto other versions of the game. And therefore, if they are still tweaking it, it's probably best to wait until they've developed all the mechanics and then introduce a version onto World of Warships Legends, rather than them just quickly hash out a version. Obviously, we know that there's no plans to introduce them as yet. Potentially might come in the future, but it is evident that the development team are very reluctant to introduce them. Well, that covers off pretty much all the news and the potential speculations regarding the game. Regarding the channel news, as you may have seen in the community post, my PlayStation 4, my second PlayStation 4 I should say, has finally kicked the bucket after 7 years of long service. Obviously, it's done a lot better than my first PlayStation 4, which after 3 months decided to leap off the top of a wardrobe and collide with the floor at a certain velocity. That's another story for another time. But the second PlayStation 4 has served its time. Unfortunately, it is passed on to the other realm, and therefore I am having to replace it. The replacement is already set up. I'm hoping to test it after recording this, and fingers crossed everything should be all nicely set up and working for the production of maybe a video on Friday, because I actually haven't been able to replay since Monday morning. And also fingers crossed live streaming should work on Friday. Obviously fingers crossed I guess you could say. Well, I haven't really got anything else to add, so I'm hoping you're enjoying the gameplay in the background, which is some of the things I did manage to recover before my PlayStation. Well, I decided to have to do like a complete reset of the knackered out shell, I guess you could say. Well, if you have enjoyed WoWs Weekly, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you more than likely are subscribed, I'd say thank you. And if you aren't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. Until next time, I'm the Gallop Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellas, unless you want me to